It's where you go to bike, hike, and stroll miles of pathways over more than 7,000 acres of parkland. A place to go explore rivers and fish their bountiful waters. Natural places to go marvel at magnificent wildlife while you play outdoors and go wander charming communities. Find all this and more at Destination Downriver. Give it a go.
Today's podcast is presented by MarketInsights.us, with the podcast on YouTube produced by the City of Taylor's Media Center. Thank you for the generous support of our community sponsor. When your destination is beyond Downriver, let Martinson Family of Funeral Homes help you and your family. With locations in Trenton, Allen Park, Mabee, Rockwood, and Monroe, their staff is available 24/7 at 734-671-5400. For more information, visit martinson.com.
Thank you to our team sponsor, Allegra, Marketing, Print, and Design. Let Allegra assist you with your print, mail, design, and signs. Located in Wyandotte, Michigan, or call 734-284-5330.
Welcome to Destination Downriver. I'm your host, Karl Ziomek. Today we tackle the interesting topic of law enforcement and new technology. We live in a digital age where technology offers numerous tools and resources to enhance all segments of our lives, including public safety. That includes everything from the use of surveillance cameras in public spaces to drones, which take oversight to new heights. We're seeing mobile applications and social media platforms being utilized to disseminate important safety information such as emergency alerts or crime prevention tips. Embracing technological advancements is helping to significantly improve efficiency and effectiveness of public safety efforts. Whether it's the addition of body and vehicle cameras, GPS darts to minimize high-speed vehicle chases, or LED lighting advancements for public trails, communities like Taylor are reaping the benefits of safer environments due to better technology. Today, we're going to dig a little deeper into technology with two law enforcement officials from the City of Taylor. John Blair has been the city's police chief since 2017. He started his Taylor career way back in 1991 and worked various assignments including Special Operations Sergeant, Lieutenant of the Traffic Division, and Commander of the Patrol Division. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice from Michigan State and is a graduate of Northwestern University's Police School of Staff and Command. With him is Jeff Admission, who has almost 23 years of experience with the department. He's filled a number of roles from records to Homeland Security and the FBI. His Special Services unit includes the drone unit and other technology implementations. He holds an associate's degree in criminal justice from Schoolcraft College and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Cleary University. We'll return in a moment with Chief Blair and Lieutenant Admission. We're back with our panel discussion. Chief John Blair, Lieutenant Jeff Admission. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Good afternoon, Carl. We've had you guys here before, but not on Destination Downriver. So this is new, John. You're going to have to behave yourself.
Always new and exciting experiences when I talk with you, Carl. So we're ready to go.
All right, let's jump right into it. With a population of nearly 64,000, Taylor is the 5th most populated city in Wayne County and the 17th most populated in Michigan. It's also the largest population downriver. When we're talking about police and law enforcement, does that size automatically translate to more challenges?
Obviously, yeah, it does. You know, we always have to remember that you have I-75, I-94, Telegraph Road running right through our city. At any given moment, you could have 250,000 people that we have to serve. So it always adds a lot of challenges to us. Our workload is obviously increased because of it.
You know, Jeff, maybe you can answer this. He brought up the freeways. I was always curious. How do you guys, jurisdiction on the freeways?
So I-75 covers about 2 miles throughout our city, and then 94 covers about 4 miles through our city. So we share the load with Michigan State Police. You know, so if they're not available, because they're spread pretty thin, you know, we do jump in and help that.
All right, public safety always ranks among one of the top concerns, both state and nationwide. Much has changed on the public safety landscape over the past several years. What are some of the biggest challenges that the department, your department and others, have faced, okay, when it comes to policing techniques and things like that?
Yeah, well, I think throughout the country, everyone's looked towards a professionalized policing model. So we're all struggling with recruitment and retaining. It's a difficult job, and I think we're not unlike any city coast to coast. So, but people are calling for transparency. That's why you'll see all the body cameras and in-car cameras that are out there. But from the police department standpoint, we're always trying to show our side of the issue as well. You know, it's a very difficult job when you're making life decisions in an instant. So we're trying to be transparent, yet have an understanding put out to our citizens and throughout the country that this is a tough task.
As an old newspaper journalist, I'm curious as to the answer that you would give me to this question. Are the people who advocate for the transparency so much, okay, are they a hindrance to that actual transparency at times? The people that run around telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing, that show up on police sites and things like that?
Right. You know, Karl, I just put it to you simply, if you're asking for a medical opinion, you ask a doctor. If you're asking a police opinion, you should ask a police officer, or maybe someone that's in the legal field, maybe a judge, or someone that has to deal with this. I don't understand a doctor's job, nor would I expect the average citizen to understand a police officer's job. So I think it's important to put yourself into someone else's shoes to understand actually what's happening.
In the wake of school shootings that we've all seen and rapid rise in gun ownership, what are some of the ways your department is now better able to help residents and gun owners navigate the new laws and heightened sense of anxiety and concerns? I know, Chief Blair, you were behind the scenes helping with the smart boot be installed. Jeff, were you part of that too?
On the tail end, I was.
Okay,
yes.
on the can you guys address that in any way?
Many aspects within that question. There are new gun laws that have came out in Michigan, just happened a couple of weeks ago. And they're in place to safeguard citizens' lives, especially children. There's new laws about securing weapons that you don't have on your person. And there's criminal offenses that go along with them if you don't do that. On a police department standpoint, we've increased our training. Every year we do active shooter training. We also work with not only schools but local businesses to get those people trained of how police officers are going to respond. It's important for them to know what we're going to do if we have to show up. So there's a myriad of things and that we do on a daily basis.
Along with the school district, we've cooperated with their technology programs. The school district has given us access to their camera system, so if there's, God forbid, something happens at one of the schools, the guys on the road can log into the camera systems and see what's going on prior to getting there. Every squad car is outfitted with a key card to give them access to the school and any door that is equipped with the keyless entry device on the outside of the school. So now the officers can make immediate entry, address the threat as necessary.
Have you guys learned from other shootings?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Go back to Columbine to now. You no longer, of course, can sit back and negotiate. This is a stop the threat. Pretty much for us at all costs. We're running into gunfire, but it's something that we've all accepted, and we know it's our task, and we won't have what happened down in was it Uvalde down in Texas, where unfortunately you had a lot of people lose their lives with maybe some indecision or lack of direction. And our officers are all trained not only here in the city of Taylor, but all throughout the Downriver communities. We get the same training. We train together so that whether we have to respond here in the city of Taylor or anywhere throughout Downriver, we all know what we're going to do.
Jeff, is that part of the hiring problem, that you have to do a little bit more, that you're not just a law enforcement? I mean, you're describing almost a soldier in those situations.
Unfortunately, with this job, it's ever evolving, so we're wearing more hats. I've never thought of myself as a IT guy, but it's turned that way because of the hiring. You know, we're all trying to recruit from the same pool of candidates, so now we're trying to employ technology as a force multiplier. So that's why we're doing these flock cameras, why we're doing these live view this, and the cameras with the schools, and we're just trying to have more officers and more eyes out there, and you use technology to work smarter, not harder.
Both of you are very relaxed with weapons. You've been trained on weapons. When it comes, and this is a tough question, but I'll throw it out to you anyways. When it comes to America's issues with weapons, how do we ever get past some of these hurdles? I mean, what's the logical issue here? I mean, who do you bring to the table? How do you get it solved?
I mean, it's $1 million question, Carl. I mean, this people spend hours talking about this. There's some simple things. As being a firearm instructor since 1993, guns don't fire themselves. In this country, people are very innovative. This gentleman to my right here has a 3D printer. People are 3D printing guns. Criminals don't follow laws, hence the term criminal. So no matter how many laws we put on the books, until we start holding people responsible, I don't think this is going to end. And that's just a matter of fact. The freedoms we accept in this country, there are limitations, and we always have to balance it out. When do our freedoms override our safety? So the country's going to have to make that decision. I just know guns are inanimate objects. They don't frighten me because I've been around them. I'm very comfortable with them.
Is this a red flag issue then? I mean, but you get people on the Second Amendment side that say, we don't want to go there because somebody will take that where we don't want it to go. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, I get all this. Hell, I've been around for a long enough time. You listen to all the arguments, both conservative and both for and against, and after a while you just say, come on, there's got to be a better way to handle this.
100%.
I think it's enforcing the laws we have here without more legislation. I think it's mental health in the society that we're dealing with, and some of the new generation not having a fear of hurting somebody. You know, it seems to have changed, and we need to address that.
Yeah, the video game culture has made it commonplace where you're slaughtering people on video games. And does that cause someone to go off crazy? I'm not advocating that, but it does lessen what the true impact is of seeing this. And yeah, accepting responsibility has seemed to have slipped away. Common sense has seemed to slip away. So yeah, I would echo Lieutenant Adam Mission's comments on that. I think there's a lot of things that we need to look at, even from a country stance.
Well, it's funny because you get, and I don't want to go too far with this, but the whole society has gotten more and more impersonal. You know, you say things on you write things on social media that you would never say in person. Okay, and half the people admit to it. Okay, but you do, and it causes more and more friction, more and more push. Whether it's anxiety on the one hand or anger on the other hand, it's funny how this is all played out. It's almost like I'm not going to go there.
You can take this, besides guns, look at the driving habits of the people in the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
It's the worst driving I've ever seen in my life, and the anger people have that are constantly walking around. Society's turned, so we have to get that ship righted.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was funny. I know I remember talking to you about the one guy on 75 that I said he was going about 100, because I was going 80, and he was going about 100, and he passed me on the left, went all the way around 3 guys to pass off the road on the right, and never stopped. And then he went in the horizon. And then I had another one just last week do almost the same thing. And it's like, you're looking at these people going,
what's the hurry?
Are you thinking?
What's the hurry?
I mean, road rage is a great example, but we go back, and not to date ourselves here, Carl, and even a little bit to Jeff. When there was problems when we were younger, you might have a fist fight, and you know what? Yeah. After it was done, you shook hands and it was over with. And literally, that's the way it used to be. Yeah. Well, now it continues, or it could turn into gunplay, and it's just that lack of value of life. And all human life is sacred, and I think we need to get more to that aspect of respecting people, the keyboard warriors, the misinformation that I see daily that's put out. There's some issues in the city right now that are put out, and the information is shocking to me. Not only is it irresponsible, but some of it's flat out illegal. So that scares me.
Right. Yeah, and it's no fun watching this.
No.
You know, let's get to the real meat of the matter here: technology. The Taylor Police Department is really on the cutting edge of some of the best law enforcement technology in this region, and that's why you're here. Technology is playing more and more significant role in community policing. Can you walk us through the efforts I had on here? I know we were talking off camera. I kind of started in 2019 with the advent of the body and the vehicle cams and the tasers, and that all led to the Axon package. Jeff, you want to address that?
Absolutely. So I came up in charge of the IT of the department in 2020, at which point we were already started with our Axon. At that point, we negotiated a new Axon contract, which was a 10-year contract, which included new body cameras that are more advanced than what we currently had, live streaming from our body cameras, from our car cameras, tasers, virtual reality, software where we can track uses of force and officer performance, things that we can be more transparent with the public and display what we're doing in the department, how we're training our officers, documenting their training, documenting their uses of force, documenting their discipline. So we're bringing in tracking mechanisms that we never had before, or that were harder, and we're doing it with less people. So the technology is working, as like I stated before, as a multiplier. So as we move forward with Axon, we're building it out for a new records management system. So now all our police reports will be written faster. The guys are not going to have to type anymore. They're going to be able to talk into their cameras, and it's going to dictate the report for them. So it's just a lot of cool technology we've never seen before that's going to make the officers more efficient. As we're rolling out the records management system, we're going to get into the CAD system, which integrates with the Flock system. So as you see a theme, I'm trying to have less vendors and bring it all together. Everything talks to each other, and the officer will have all that on his in-car computer, and the officer's going to be more knowledge, and knowledge is power.
Why Axon, Jeff?
Well, Axon was the leader of the body cameras and tasers at the point. We had some other brands that we just weren't happy with. And so when Chief Blair was one of the originals that was talking to Axon, brought Axon when I was still on the road. And once I got in and started digging around Axon, it's just the advancements, the technology, the growth of Axon was unbelievable. So I was like, I want to be part of this.
I equate Axon to like Tesla, like Elon Musk.
Okay.
He's not afraid to make mistakes, push boundaries. He's going to space, electric cars. And he knows those things aren't perfect, and he knows you're going to have failures. And I look at Axon in a very comparable way. They're not afraid to screw up, but they listen to what the consumer, being police officers, want. We tell them exactly what we want. We don't have them define what our problems are. We define our problems. And that's why I think Axon is the leader in many of these avenues and the technology that you see. But a lot of cities have had to do this. Frankly, they understand police officers, people aren't just taking those jobs. Our mayor, Tim Woolley, and city council have been incredibly supportive. And people, I see them take abuse about what they do and what they don't do in the city. None of this is possible without them and their support, the financial support that we get from them, because they understand we can't bring in the bodies, and there are better ways of doing this. And that is what this gentleman has taken the forefront in our department, about bringing this technology and using that to mortgage out our future and improve this city. So good stuff.
One thing that I remember from our initial discussion years ago on body cams and those type of devices, and it really resonated with me, and I wanted you to repeat it, is the whole idea that it works both ways.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Can you explain? Go ahead, explain for the audience.
You know, it's like a kid. A kid is going to behave a little bit better when the parent's watching. Okay. Well, and not only does this keep the person who's having a problem with the police officer in line, because they see that they're being recorded, but it also keeps that officer in line. Dad's watching, mom's watching, and the kid doesn't want to screw up when mom and dad are watching. So That's it. It goes two ways. And that's what we want in all police work. I want us to understand our community and the fear they may have of us, especially the minority communities. I get it. I understand that. But I also want them to see what we see through our eyes. We look at statistics. We look at what happens, and we're logical people as well. So we want a two-way street, and I believe these cameras do that.
Well, and speaking of statistics, you touched on one thing that's worth mentioning, and that is the cut in labor when it comes to literally manually writing out a report and things like that. That's a real important issue when it comes to these things.
Absolutely. Not only the officer's job's hard out there, but putting exactly what he saw, what he felt, what he did on paper sometimes is hard to translate. So if he can spell it out and talk to it about it, it's a much cleaner report and much more accurate report. And we found that to work really well.
And with the visuals, it does drive down the debates over what happened at the scene, right, John?
Correct.
I mean, lawsuits.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that. I mean, and these cameras don't pick up everything, and you have to remember a human eye and a camera are not exactly the same. Angles, emotions, all those things play into what we do and why we do things, but the cameras have been incredibly valuable in giving a true picture of what's happening.
Jeff, let's go to one of your favorite areas, because I've talked to you about this before. Tell us about drones. Drones and law enforcement.
So roughly 2.5 years ago, we purchased our first fleet of drones. It's 4 drones. They are still operational. They are starting to be outdated because technology changes so quick. The police department has utilized the drones in very many ways. We use them with the special weapons and tactics teams on different call-outs we've had there. They were so important in some of these to document what actually occurred. We've used them in missing persons. We've documented the hazmat situation at Ford Motor Company down in the Flat Rock. They call us out to assist. Missing persons, arrests out in the field, help canines. They were used in all the ways we thought we could use them. It was really neat. It's very successful. Once again, we've tied Axon into our drone program. So all the pilots that are currently using the drones are flying through an Axon platform called Axon Air. Within that program, I can look at all the maintenance, the performance of the drones, the drones' flight paths, the video evidence, everything from that, and then the supervisors, the chief, everybody can stream in to see exactly what that drone's seeing. So now as a pilot, I have 15 pairs of eyes on this watching in case I miss something. As a pilot, you're watching the screen, watching the drone, watching the performance of the drone while your spotter's doing other things. The program's been hugely successful, and we are going to make some updates shortly, which we're pretty excited about.
Tell people about how, because your people are actually drone pilots. They're certified, licensed, trained pilots. They're just not running a drone across the city. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So we have 7 Part 107 pilots that are certified by FAA and hold a drone license. There's a recreational pilots that can just go out and fly when they want to. Okay, and that's become a kind of a reckless thing. So what the FAA did recently is they changed to remote ID. Remote ID is basically when the drone takes off, the Metro Tower knows. They know where that drone is, so airplanes can avoid, or you can avoid the airplanes, and we don't have any incidents. So that's changed a lot there. But yes, we are all Part 107 pilots, and we're going to keep expanding the program.
And how did you originally get into flying those type of things? They weren't drones at that time. You started with planes, right?
I started with remote control aircraft. I've been flying remote control aircraft since I was about 10 years old and flying competitively throughout the world. And then we got into drones, and then past Chief Hopper, or Deputy Chief Hopper, asked me to start a drone program, which I was absolutely on board with.
What type of planes do you have now, Jeff?
Unfortunately, I haven't got to fly a plane in probably 2 or 3 years. Most of them, they're called pylon racing airplanes.
Okay.
So they're competitive. They're 200 miles an hour, and we fly them down in Indiana is where the main course is.
So Chief, he's not a person to mess with in this subject, right?
See, Karl, you can tell I surround myself with geniuses. That's the way of doing this.
Okay, from the drones, let's get into another form of technology. Text 911. Explain it.
So it's a new program the state came out with, and we put a new computer council down there. So not only are people, they don't have to traditionally call 911 like they would, they can text us. There's a new council by dispatch, they see a text message come in. So say, hypothetically, somebody was a passenger in a vehicle and they couldn't call us because they're in a bad situation. They can text us and we can respond to them by text, and it will give the location and we can respond accordingly.
Interesting. You alluded to the stationary license plate readers, the FLOC program. Can you, and you mentioned Condor on top of that. Can you bring us up to date on those kind of things?
So with Flock Safety, we invested heavily in them about a year and a half ago. We purchased 50 cameras through the city of Taylor and Tifa. 48 of the 50 are up. There were some licensing issues, which have delayed the program a little bit. But we are having huge results. They're upwards of 3 million plate reads a month through all of our cameras. Wow. Last time I checked, there was over 500 hits through the city of Taylor in the last 30 days of different wanted vehicles, missing persons, stolen plates, endangered people, missing, the whole realm. So there's 15 categories, we look at that. So we have recovered a great amount of stolen vehicles, which helps us all. So beyond that, we're making another investment with Flock Safety as far as their Condor cameras. Condor camera is a live pan, tilt, zoom camera that we're going to put in the city parks. So over the last summer, we had a shooting up in Northwest Park. We had no cameras in the area, so we have limited information that we're trying to base off of. So these live view cameras, they're going to be in the parks, and they will talk to the license plate reader. If they hear something, see something, we can activate, and it'll start activating all the license plate readers in that area to start taking snapshots of every car. So we'll have more information to follow up with investigations. Just one of those things, and then the guys will have all those views in their car that they currently do. So it's exciting. It's going to help the guys, and they seem to like it, and they're having great results.
Chief, how do you decide where you put those cameras?
Well, I mean, we look at our problem spots. Okay. And some of them are known. Some areas where we have the least or the most amount of people that visit. Our parks, as we discussed, some of our city buildings. All areas where we could anticipate there'd be problems or large crowds of people is where we try to centralize all of our resources.
And these aren't facial identification type things. Explain that.
So the license plate reader is positioned purposely where it does not take a picture of the driver. It takes a picture of the car and the license plate. The live pan, tilt, zoom cameras are a lifetime camera like your traditional security camera. So that's the main difference between the two. We put these cameras in, like he said, large traffic areas. We have 75, we have 94, and we have the pipeline coming through of Telegraph. So there are large shopping areas where crime usually happens, is where we're putting cameras.
Fantastic. Let's get on to Star Chase, because I find this absolutely fascinating. Who wants to
talk? I get to talk first on this one.
Okay, you go.
Because I'm the bad guy within our department. I have a little bit different philosophy with vehicle pursuits. I think it's very valuable to hold people responsible when they commit criminal offenses. But I believe that all human life is sacred. I've said it a million times. Is it worth it to chase somebody for a retail fraud or a theft from a retail shop and end up killing someone, or having a driver that's running from us kill somebody? So we try to balance that out. And this Star Chase is a device that's been installed on our cars where if someone flees from us, they don't stop. We deploy a dart that sticks to the vehicle and provides GPS coordinates and gives us lifetime actions of where they're at. We can slow that pursuit down and monitor where the car's going. When it stops or gets to a location where it parks, we can apprehend hopefully that individual and take that vehicle in as well.
Now that, correct me if I'm wrong, that dart comes off a vehicle-mounted launcher, and literally the dart darts literally into the vehicle that you're shooting at, right? And pegs it, right?
So correct. It's like a big Nerf dart, for lack of better words. It's a big foam dart that launches from the car, and it has some epoxy on the end that sticks to the car, which is removable without damage to the vehicle. And we can remove the dart. So it's lifetime, updates, and we'll go back to the last summer. There was several times we had the same stolen car going through the city, terrorizing the city. And at this point now, we can at least impound that car,
Right.
or we're not going after the same car over and over and over again.
Interesting. Chief, what is standard protocol for high-speed chases? Is there one rule that goes across all departments or anything like that?
No, well, there's laws in the state of Michigan that talk about pursuits and what police officers can do when they're driving in emergency situations. But our personal policy in the city of Taylor is prohibitive, which means unless it is a serious felony crime where someone has been seriously hurt or killed, a rape, a criminal sexual conduct of someone who has been kidnapped, our officers are not going to pursue. These serious offenses, we will go after them. Again, it's life safety. If their life is in jeopardy, we're going to go after that car. If it's something that's a property crime, driving while license suspended, we're going to dart that car and track it in a safe manner.
Who sets up the policy?
Well, it's at my direction, but
Okay.
of course
All
there
right.
is coordination with our Human Resource Department, obviously the Mayor's Office and the Chief of Staff.
Okay.
Risk management plays a role in this as well, but I look at the laws. I look at what I believe our community wants and our society wants, and we balance those out, and then there again is my personal philosophy of what we want to do, what we want to accomplish here.
So I guess what you're saying is they could differ from community to community, but do they really in real
Yeah,
time?
I mean, there's some that are much more strict. You're not chasing for anything. And
Okay.
there are others that allow you to pursue as the officer deems fit.
Okay.
You obviously always have to take in consideration the traffic, the offense that you're looking at, weather conditions, roadway conditions. There's a myriad of things that they look at.
Okay, all righty. Let's go into our next issue here. Back to you, Jeff. The Night Watch Verkada camera program that just went in front of council just a few meetings ago. Can you explain that?
So several years ago, they wanted to do a campus security project, which incorporates all of our city buildings, so roughly 18 city buildings. We were only able to do a couple of the buildings over the last couple of years, and those cameras are unfortunately outdated. So we looked at several different vendors, and we decided on Verkada. The reason we went with Verkada is because the school district's on it, the officers already have familiarity with the system, so it makes sense if something happens, they don't have to learn a new system. So we are deploying 355 cameras throughout every city building, so that way it'll give us access to see what's going on at those buildings, make sure they're safe, and make sure people visiting those buildings are safe. Those images are all displayed on the police dispatch wall. We have a security wall with 15 TVs up there that are rotating the images through Verkada. So we are going to probably expand the project, with more sensors and stuff. But right now it's going to cover pretty much every city building at this point. It's going to take quite a while to install all those cameras, but we're looking forward to that project. It's going to start Monday morning, so we're looking forward to it.
And it's interesting because this is totally integrated with the schools, correct?
Correct. So it's not directly integrated, but it's the same system. So the
Same
officers
system,
know
okay.
how to use it. So instead, we didn't want to have a totally different system. God forbid we have to get into the school system, maybe once a year. So the officers don't want to have to relearn a system if we're on a different security system. So being on the same one is very important. And also several districts around us have Verkada. So if we get permission, we could link onto those. So if they had a mutual aid incident, we know how to, go through the system.
And those would be instant by instant with schools. You wouldn't be having a rotating screen for. Okay,
It wouldn't be carte blanche.
Right.
It would be an incident-based permission.
But I'll tell you, between Smart Boot and this system, you really are integrated with your schools.
Well, recently a school just provided us a Smart Boot tablet.
Okay.
So it's basically the same tablet the school has in their building that they get notified. Now we get notified when a boot's lifted at the school. We get notified. We have a tablet that turns red and lets us know, hey, something's going on at this school before we even get the call.
John, you and I talked about Smart Boot with the Smart Boot inventor. Okay, what was that, a year ago? Maybe a little over that.
You're right in that neighborhood, yeah.
In retrospect, is it performing the way you thought it would perform?
Yes, Yes, it is. It's notifying us when they have problems. I know Jeff talked about us getting the entry keys into the school. There's many different facets, not only just the boot, but then how do we respond? So but the boot's done a great job at notifying us. We know when it's deployed, and we have no complaints about it whatsoever.
I know for a while there it seemed like the copycat off of, I'm going to guess it was Oxford, all of the copycats, all of the bad calls to schools to shut them down, that seems to have come under. But am I jinxing us now?
That's cyclical, Carl, to be honest with you. It seems like if cities in California get it, the next thing you know, it starts filtering over here. Nationwide, you're having the same calls in. It's very cyclical. We could have 10 in a week and then not get anything for several weeks, and then they start back up again. So it's very cyclical.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Bad idea.
Okay, best for last. Who wants to talk about the new Rad Dog, robotic dog that we're going to be getting in, 3 weeks?
Start. I'll give you the start.
Okay.
Again, we'll let this guy talk about it. There is a gentleman that I worked with in my younger years here at the police department who worked for the FBI. And he came forward with a tremendous product that his company now is deploying. It's called the Rad Dog. So it's robot-assisted device is what it is. And this is a robot that our officers can deploy on many, many situations. Anything that may involve someone perhaps barricaded inside of a house. Instead of exposing our officers to go inside this house, we can send this dog up the stairs, up the porch, to make entry so that they can do a face-to-face communication with this person. There's actually a camera that's on front where they would see a face and we in turn would see a face with them. And we can talk to them and they can talk to us. It doesn't expose that person to danger with having an officer there with a weapon, nor does it expose our officer to that person who has a weapon as well. So any hazmat situation might not be safe to put an officer in because of fumes, chemicals. We could put this dog and deploy it into that as well. So all the technical aspects, I'm going to turn over to this guy at my right. He's the genius with this stuff.
Okay, fire away.
So the Red Dog is very cool as far as the technology they use to make this thing work for us. And by being early adopters, we're able to give them feedback of what we see, that they can test this thing all they want in a controlled environment. What's it going to do when you put it in an apartment building with comforters and pillows and couches and dogs? And how's it going to perform? They can't replicate that. We can. So they're going to take our feedback, advice, and make the changes. And when they make those changes to the robots, we're going to be giving that robot with so if it doesn't work, it's our fault. We're testing it. We're telling them what we need, and they're going to make the changes. So that's pretty exciting. Along with not having to be on ground to control it. I can control it from my house as long as somebody is there to turn it on. I can walk it around from a laptop. So the guys can walk it in when they see it. So there's a lot of different options to deploy this. We're really excited to get it out there. We've talked about different ways of carrying it in a vehicle, putting it on a charging pad and having it in a down position, almost like a canine would be, sitting there charging, ready to go. So we're going to experiment and play with it and get it out there and make it work.
Would this be, would this Rad Dog be important in a school situation too?
Without any question.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can put it in anywhere where you can avoid creating further conflict. A true de-escalation device. And Jeff did point out something, and this is really important. Those new versions we get as we improve this dog with our feedback to them, it comes at no additional cost to us. We've signed a contract, it's a yearly lease, and they will give us the latest, greatest as we provide them feedback. Our failures and our success will be used to build on this dog. So ground floor for us.
What's our cost for the dog? I mean,
$32,000.
Yeah, it's $32,000
okay.
for the lease for the year. And again, if it's damaged, that's included in there. The upgrades is included in there as well.
Are you going to give this a name?
We have
perfect timing. That is wonderful. We're looking to get the community involved in this as well.
Oh, okay. You're going to do one of those.
Especially our school kids.
Okay.
We think it would be fun to have the school kids name
absolutely.
Name it up.
But I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you going to say?
So yeah, we were with the dog. The developments, it's up to us. I mean, we've already had discussions of different things we think it could use, different things like that, and they've been open to it. And. Can't wait to see where it goes. So,
is this also a firefighting tool at all?
As far as fire suppression, no. But again, as you talk about a hazmat situation, something where you don't want to put personnel in.
Right.
Obviously, your firefighters have your self-contained breathing apparatus. They can do some things, but it takes time.
Right.
Or maybe it's a very, very confined place. Maybe it's an unstable place, and we could put this dog into an area where it's not safe for a human. So,
if we see an area where we can improve, I mean, the top half of the dog incorporates a lot of 3D printing, so it's not hard. There's mounting points. So if we say, you know what, we want to put a sensor on here to help the fire department, the remote sensor. Okay, how do we do that? We make a mount for this thing and talk to the rad dog about it.
Sure.
This is what we want to do, and somehow come up with a way where the camera can capture the rate or sensors, you know, that the fire department is looking for. There's, you know, there's no, you know, possibilities are endless.
This is fascinating stuff. Where's the future going to take us now? From somebody who hired in 1991, okay, where do you think it's going to go, Chief? And then I'm going to go to somebody a little newer.
You know, I truly believe that the unfortunate manpower shortage is going to continue.
Okay.
I just don't see the field as being overly attractive for many reasons. And I think we're going to have to fill those gaps with technology. The one thing that I'm incredibly excited about is having these drones as first responders. We are intending to be able to launch these drones from the roof of the police station to respond to any type of incident, to give us that quick eye in the sky before our officers even arrive. So I look at the technology just continuing to push forward with automation and safety things, de-escalation. This dog is a perfect example of that. Being able to deploy a drone around a house instead of entering an officer, giving us those early heads up of what we're getting ourselves into is invaluable for us.
Do you agree?
I agree with everything. I'm pretty sure John stole my thunder.
I'm going to write this down that he agrees with me.
The drone as first responder, I think it's going to be critical. We often get reports of something happening on a roadway or in an area. We get there, nothing's there. And not that the call was false, maybe it's already solved itself before we get there. So if we can send that to clear it up and the dispatcher can see it, we can move on and dispatch officers to, you know, things that are actually happening. I think technology is going to be huge in the department moving forward, and like I said, the multiplier is huge right now.
You know, your issue with hiring, okay, and lack of bodies, is that going to lead to anything that may be kind of like Back to the Future? There's been discussions all over, especially in the fire side of things, of fire districts, of, you know, are we going to see less community police departments like we see right now and more joined, merged? That's a dangerous conversation to have with people. But I mean, from a reality standpoint, is that
There's
something?
always going to have to be human interaction.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is a human interaction. There's just no way you can fully automate this.
Right.
Talking somebody down or handling their problem, there's always going to have to be a face-to-face interaction. There's always going to be a need for police officers. We're just looking at ways to improve those interactions, make them much more safe, much more convenient and effective. So we're going to harness technology to do everything we can to continue to push forward, to be cutting edge, and to follow that professional policing model that I think everyone wants.
Jeff, I'm going to give you the last comment here. We got anything in the very near future that's coming on, or something that maybe you have in the back of your mind that you'd say, that you've always said this can be done, and now that you have your tentacles out there into these companies and they're listening to feedback, you got anything?
Well, we're looking to update some of our drone technology. Like I stated before, they're 2.5 years old. They're about 4 or 5 generations behind what's out there. The newer technology is really exciting as far as 3D scanning. Not only can we get smaller drones that can go into houses to help SWAT team if the dog's not available or the dog's just not practical in that situation, where this drone can now 3D map a house and we can show it to the SWAT command before possibly SWAT command has to even make entry to the house. It's already familiar with them instead of walking in going, okay, now how do we address this? They've already seen it. So we're looking at the more futuristic drones where it'll help us with the crash response, crash recreation, crime scene recreation. That just all the technology is so much better than it was 2 years ago because they're making strides so fast.
And probably by the time we get together next year or 2 years from now, we're going to be talking about a whole different bunch of things that are going to come down the pipe here.
Absolutely.
Well, fantastic. Thank you very much. This has been very, very informative. I know, Taylor, you got to be very proud, Chief, that Taylor's on the cutting edge here of so much of this stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to describe the differences that I've seen in the last 33 years, and it makes me proud every day to walk in and to see the chances we have to be part of professional policing and to make that change from what it used to be to what I envision it can be and is becoming. So very, very proud every day.
That's fantastic, and we're proud of you guys.
Thank you.
We can't wait till we have you guys on again.
Absolutely.
We want you to be safe out there and everything like that. That's it for our discussion on law enforcement and new technology. Thanks to Chief Blair. Thanks to Jeff Adminison. And we can't wait to see the next wave of new technology that ends up in our toolbox here. For Joey Camilleri, Samantha Rickard behind the scenes, I'm Karl Ziomek, and we'll see you on the next Destination Downriver.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Martinson Family of Funeral Homes and Allegra Marketing, with a special thanks to our production partners here at the new Taylor Media Center. Thanks for listening and watching. Please visit our website, destinationdownriver.com, or our Facebook page, and be sure to join us for next month's podcast.